Welcome to RISK66 Accelerated Training video on using the actuarial analysis to anticipate future years' reserves. I'm Tim Coomer. Let's get started. Sigma's actuarial reports typically include an exhibit stating a client's estimated required reserves as of the current evaluation date. Estimated required reserves are explored in another RISK66 training video. Let's start by looking at a typical exhibit that you would see in a Sigma actuarial analysis report. This is for workers' compensation, and it shows the estimated required reserves as of June 30th, 2014. The first column on the left shows the period start date for all of the policy periods that have been used in this analysis. The second column shows the retention for each of those policy periods. It's important to be aware and to correctly note what the retention was in these historical policy periods, because that does affect how the actuary completes the analysis. Then we show in column 3 the selected estimated ultimate incurred losses. So this is what the actuary has estimated to be the ultimate loss amount for each of these policy periods. The next column shows the reported paid losses. So as of the date that this table was computed, we know that we have paid losses in the amount shown in this column. We can therefore compute what the estimated required reserves are based on the difference between the selected estimated ultimate incurred losses and what has been paid so far. That is shown in the estimated required reserve column. Then that number can be further broken into case reserves, which are reserves that are actually on each of the individual open cases that are in each of the policy periods, and a number known as the development of known claims in IBNR. So those are not specific case reserves, but these are dollar amounts that the actuaries have estimated they anticipate will show up eventually for these policy periods. Now you can see in the column labeled estimated required reserves that at the very bottom we show the total of $3,228,719. So that is the estimated reserves for all of these policy periods that are being analyzed as of June 30th, 2014. For planning purposes, many clients also want to know what their estimated required reserves will be at some point subsequent to the evaluation date of the report they've received, and usually that's about 12 months ahead. Planning ahead for changes in reserve requirements down the road is an important part of the budgeting process. Planning ahead is a particularly important topic for newly created large deductible programs, since reserve requirements will increase substantially in the first few years of the program's existence. Many clients are caught off guard by the large increases in reserve requirements as their program matures. Large deductible workers' compensation programs may not become mature until 5 or even 6 years after establishment. Future estimated required reserves are based on current estimated reserves modified by 3 quantities. First, the projected losses in the next year. Second, the estimated payments during the next year on previously incurred claims. And then third, estimated payments during the next year on claims incurred during the next year. First, the projected losses during the upcoming year will increase the estimated required reserves. So we want to look at the loss projection that's been provided to us by the actuaries and see what that number is. First, we see the table where the actuaries computed the pure loss rate for the historical data, and they've selected a pure loss rate of $3.20 for purposes of projecting the losses for the coming year. Then here we see where the projected payroll for the coming policy period is $56,409,068. Now that projected payroll amount times the projected pure loss rate of $3.20 gives us our projected losses of $1,810,000. And just as a reminder, remember that the $3.20 pure loss rate is per $100 of projected payroll. The next step is to look at the estimated payments on claims that have occurred in the past policy periods but that will be paid during the upcoming policy period. So we look at a table of expected future payments, which may also be referred to as a cash flow analysis. and this would be included in your Sigma Actuarial report. We'll look at the 2015 year, and we total up the expected payments for all of the policy periods, and we see in the first column there that total would be $1,490,890. Next, we want to estimate the payments that will be made during the next year on claims incurred during the next year. So as we can see here in the table showing the expected future payments for the 7/1/2014 policy period, that the expected payments during the coming year is going to be $415,897. Okay, so now we have the numbers we need to do our computation. Now remember, the actuarial report that we're working from was estimated as of June 30th, 2014. And what we're trying to do is figure out what will our reserves be a year from now, which would be June 30th, 2015. So we started with the June 30, 2014 estimated required reserves of $3,228,719. We want to subtract the payments on claims that had already incurred, and that was step one. That's $1,490,890. We want to add in the losses that we have projected for this coming policy period, which is $1,810,000, and then subtract the amount of claims for that projected policy period that will actually be paid next year also. So that's $415,897. And so the balance, the expected June 30th, 2015 required reserves will be $3,131,932. Now in this example, required reserves are projected to decrease over the next year, perhaps because the client has recently implemented an aggressive campaign to close out old claims. This table also provides a useful visualization of the projected impact of the workers' compensation program on the upcoming year's income statement and balance sheet. Some of Sigma's clients are also interested in estimating the actual cash balance of their reserve fund at the end of the next year. The same procedure is used as before, as we demonstrated here, except that the analysis starts with the client's current actual cash reserves rather than the estimated required reserves. Investment income may also be considered in this type of computation. So let's look at what an exhibit would look like where we're computing the projected cash reserves. We start out with total cash reserves of $3,783,506 as of July 1st, 2014. We subtract the payments on claims that have already incurred, which was the $1,490,890. We add the incurred losses for the coming policy period of $1,810,000, and then we subtract what's going to be paid from that amount, and that's $415,897. And then we add in a projected investment income at a 2% interest rate, which would be $74,718. And so we can project that the cash reserves as of 7/1/2015 will be $3,761,437. Actual changes in cash reserves may be of particular interest for the line item budgeting for a client who wants a picture of their upcoming insurance program cost on a cash basis as well as an accrual basis. This type of analysis can be modified to suit a wide range of planning needs. Additional considerations such as unallocated loss adjustment expenses, longer projection time frames, or the impact of large losses on reserves may be important to clients. For expanded information, see the resources listed along with this video, or contact Sigma Actuarial Consulting Group at support@sigmaactuary.com. Thank you for taking time to watch this Using the Actuarial Analysis to Anticipate Future Years' Reserves training video from RISK66.